Sean.
Hey, how are you, Commander?
I'm all right. We're on the air with Revolution Radio, and we're now on the air.
And
yes, good. How are you doing? How's things?
And Wolf Spirit Radio as well. So,
yes, indeed.
Fantastic. Good. You know, it's been crazy here. We're in this monsoon season. Matter of fact, everything since July 27th, I've sent blogs and sent out stuff to you. So thank you so much for posting that. And I wanted to also thank everybody out there for the overwhelming response that we got to help with my legal stuff. So you know, and of course the smear people are saying, "Oh yeah, he only raised $75," and you know, nobody wants to give him money and any of that, which is totally and completely untrue. So, but we managed to provide for my legal team that is working on the appeal, and the appeal is going to be a slam dunk, and so this whole thing should be over, you know, depending on how long the appeal court takes, this whole thing should be over by Christmas. So that's the first thing. A couple of interesting things going on. It's, I wanted to say I put out in my post about the whole JFK Jr. thing, and my buddy that was the MI6 intelligence agent that said that way back when, 18 years ago, that JFK Jr. wasn't dead. He didn't say he wasn't dead. He said he put them in the British version of the Witness Protection Program, which was called Project Gaia, and that the two files. I asked him two questions about Princess Diana and about JFK Jr. He gave me all the inside details on the Princess Diana murder and about how they asked American CIA to do it, and they said no. You know, Clinton apparently had a crush on Princess Diana, and they actually warned Diana 2 weeks before her death about remote control devices that were on the limousine that were cleaned off by Dodi Fayed's security people. But he gave me all the details on that. On JFK Jr., he just said that file came up as Project Gaia. And
this call is from a federal prison.
There are literally places around the world maintained by, well, the U.S. and the British government that are very much like The Prisoner, the old TV show with Patrick McGowan. So just a lot of interesting things going on as far as the prophecy prediction stuff. It was just funny that today on the TV they were doing a whole documentary about Robert Downey Jr. and the spiral that his life took, and it was just weird because I think it was June 26th of 1997. I was actually at a party with Robert Downey Jr. My girlfriend Junice had been a makeup artist and a set designer for a film. He wasn't in the movie. Malcolm McDowell was actually in the film. But I was at a party with Robert Downey Jr. and actually was in the restroom with him and trying to take his keys away from him, trying to drive him home, trying to tell him that, you know, look, you're really messed up. And what they didn't tell you is that when they arrested him in his drop-top Mustang that he had, well, they actually mentioned this, I think, but he had a gun, he had a bunch of drugs, and he had his kid, India, in the car with him when he was on his way home. But that began the beginning of the downward spiral for him, you know, and I was there the night it happened, trying to take the guy's keys away, trying to drive him home, trying to say that he was just completely out of control. And so that was just kind of a weird memory thing that came up. All right. We've had the monsoons here, which have been crazy. I mean, I was standing outside howling at God in the rain, and there were 250 lightning strikes all around us here, some kind of new record. So I'm standing out there. People think I'm nuts, just like, you know, howling at the thunder gods, hoping that maybe a bolt of lightning would hit me, and suddenly I would get prophetic powers and travel to heaven and come back with boxes of prophecies like Daniel Brinkley, or get the amazing mutant ability to basically just shake on the ground and crap my pants. You know, one of the two. Fighting a cold. Meanwhile, the fires in California, the car fire, is just out of control, and that was another thing that I was predicting, saying that California is going into another phase of some pretty big earthquakes. And I sent people information about what was going on with Kilauea and about how the lava was actually kind of melting down into this 1,000-foot crevice, and that there's the good possibility of some kind of tidal wave that hit California. But whenever you have an imbalance in nature, I guess, whenever you have these fires, usually you also have earthquakes that actually come right after that. Now, July 27th is really interesting. There's all kinds of astrological stuff that's going on. First off, we had a blood moon lunar eclipse that apparently was the longest eclipse that we've had in hundreds of years, and it passed it passed directly over Cairo, which also means City of Mars, and over the Sphinx, which was called the King of Terror back in the day on what was known as the Plateau of Acre as well. So the fact that you have this eclipse that was visible from Cairo and Israel, I think is really interesting. You've got a lot of revolution on the horizon. I mean, I was looking at the, I actually have an ephemeris here. I got an ephemeris with some tarot cards. We played poker with my tarot cards the other night, and I drew an inside straight and 4 guys died. That's a joke. Okay, so on July 27th, you actually had the lunar eclipse was in Aquarius. You actually had Mercury went retrograde on the 26th, and it's going to be retrograde until August 19th. You have Mars in Aquarius retrograde. You have Jupiter finally went direct in Scorpio. Saturn is retrograde in Capricorn, which is all financial stuff, which is why the markets are kind of tanking right now. Neptune is retrograde in Pisces, which is actually the sign it rules. And then you have Pluto retrograde. So you've got all these retrograde planets. So people need to be very careful and very mindful of what it is they're doing. But at the same time, when you had the blood moon on the 27th passing over Israel and Egypt, at the same time you had Sirius rising, which began the dog days of summer, and you have it being a supermoon, which means it's closer to the Earth than I think it's ever going to be again. And at the same time, the Earth is apparently further away from the sun than we've ever been. And Mars is swinging around, and Mars is going to be closer than it's been to us in 15 years. And every time Mars comes by, it usually means a major war, major assassination, so you can be looking for... And one other thing, for those that are interested in biblical prophecy, when I was a kid, I studied at Baraka Church in Houston, Texas. I mean, not only did I study at the church, and we went to church 6 days a week, but when we weren't there, I had to listen to Bible tapes like 360 days out of the year. And one of the people that used to sit next to me was Hal Lindsey, who wrote the book Late Great Planet Earth that sold like 50 million copies. Well, they talk about biblical generations, and 30 years, 40 years, and 70 years are all very, very interesting and very important biblical generations. Well, everybody was making a big fuss about the apocalypse prophecies all coming to bear in 1988. And, of course, nothing happened because they were saying, oh, it's one generation since the Jews returned to Zion, and the prophecy was that not a generation shall pass away. Well, okay, so if you believe in all these biblical prophecies and Revelation and Ezekiel 38 and 39 with Gog and Magog attacking Israel and the young lion of the United States doing nothing, then this would be the year that it would conceivably happen. And, of course, it didn't help that Trump then moves the U.S. Embassy into Jerusalem, which is technically considered occupied territory since the Israelis took it away during, I think, the Six-Day War. But so it's just very interesting what's going on there. It'll mean, a lot of revolution. We might finally see the end of Benjamin Netanyahu, more disruptions in Egypt and Israel. So everybody start watching for all these prophecies to come true in my blogs. And thank you so much for posting them on the Alternative Reality Disorder website, and out there everywhere else. The Project Camelot, Carrie Cassidy, and of course Sherry McAdams and Sue and their dog Heidi, and everybody out there that's been helping me. I just I can't thank you enough. So any questions?
Yeah, of course. How's your health and Melissa's health?
Melissa's terrible. I told her she broke her foot, and then they had her moving mattresses or something, and she tore her rotator cuff, like moving these big heavy mattresses. And I keep saying, you're an old lady, you have to stop this stuff. And then she, I guess, was in some kind of religious service, and she bashed her head into a shelf and gave herself a concussion, so she's not doing so good. Or so well, sorry. Meanwhile, for me, I finally found out that I have an appointment with the ophthalmologist coming up. They won't tell you when, but it's just in the future, to finally get the lens replaced in my eye, because all they did was blind me in my right eye. And
this call is from a federal prison.
Still blind out of my right eye, and so I'm supposed to go to the ophthalmologist for them to insert a lens, or they say it's a very, very simple in-office operation, so that's going on. Other than having a cold, and then the air conditioning broke in this, in this hellish unit that we're in, so it's been 85 to 90 degrees in here, and then, of course, outside, the monsoons have been raining and lightning storms and all kinds of crazy stuff, Meanwhile, that with the terrible food, everything's just fine. But just work on the appeal. Yeah, go ahead.
We hope. I hope your bionic eye will be inserted soon. You'll be able to see like Steve Austin.
Yeah, I'm hoping that I'll have a range of infrared and ultraviolet and X-ray and something like that, and I'll be able to.
Wouldn't that be cool?
Do some kind of bionic thing where I have microscopic vision or something like that. So, which would do me no good in here.
Well, just being able to read would be fine. It sounds like you're rising up over a lot of challenges and still coming out on top with your humor. So that's really good news, Sean.
I try. It's just that I can't really say much about it on the phone because again, part of why they put me in here was as a deterrent. Literally, they said that it says that this was as a deterrent and an example to anyone that, quote, questioned the voluntary income tax system of the United States, which is pretty crazy because I never did. I've always said, look, anybody wants to voluntarily pay taxes, it's fine with me. I never taught taxes. I never did lectures on taxes. I never told anybody not to pay their taxes. So they just completely made stuff up. And the crazy part about the appeal is they must have spent $10 million on this case. I mean, $10 million on a case where there were no damages, there were no victims. The judge actually asked the government, well, who's been harmed here? Well, we don't really know who the victim is. We don't know. Well, there aren't any damages. It didn't cost the government any money. And, and I got a return for taxes back in 2009, and they didn't even charge me for the return. So the convoluted part about this is literally trying to unravel this massive conspiracy. I mean, you think every day working on this appeal, I just realized the lengths they went to, to actually put me in this. And it's, there's an old Buddhist story about a prince who goes out in the jungle, and he's hunting monkeys. And what happens is they fire arrows and all the monkeys start scattering. And there's one monkey in a branch in the tree, and the prince fires an arrow at the monkey, and the arrow's coming right for him. And the monkey manages to do this backflip and grab the arrow in midair. And thanks to his skill and his dexterity, the prince then had all of his men fire all their arrows at the monkey just to kill that monkey. So, I'm that monkey. I'm the monkey that outsmarted these people to begin with, and then they had to bring all the arrows and all the force to bear on me. And it's just the real tragedy is that Melissa got completely dragged into this. I did everything I could to save her during the trial, but the fact that they went after her as well was just a way to hurt me. But it's and it's just been a nightmare to watch the way her family has treated her, and just awful. If anybody had any real hello.
No, I'm here.
Oh, okay. All right, sorry. They just cut the phone off here in a weird way. So, anyway, what else was I going to talk about?
We have 90 seconds, Sean.
Okay. Well, the blood moon was crazy, and just the 27th, and all the retrograde planets, and the eclipse is going to bode very ill for, I think, the Middle East and that all part of the world. You okay?
Yeah, actually things seem to be, kind of smoothing out. It's been difficult the last few months, but things are starting to look up. So I think, I feel we're over the middle of the whole thing.
Yes. Well.
And for you, I hope that all of your cases go smoothly and in the right direction.
Well, just one case now. The appeal is due, I think, September 4th. And then it's 30 days for them to respond. 30 days for me to get out of here. Meanwhile, I'm also writing letters to the president to try to see if I can get a pardon. Oh, looks like there's some kind of doing count here or something. All right, brother, got to go. But thank you so much. God bless everybody out there. Once again, if you want to write me here, I respond to everybody. It's Sean Morton. P.O. Box 24549, Tucson, Arizona, 89734. So, and anybody else also, my number here also is 730-55112. So if anybody wants to send Western Union or Western Union MoneyGram, I mean, $50 goes a long way here. So I appreciate it. All right, God bless you, man. I'll talk to you next week.
God bless you, Sean. Everything's published on Alternative Reality Disorder, and this will go out on YouTube just in a few hours.
Perfect. Thanks, bro. Talk to you next week.
Have a great day. God bless you. Okay, one moment. I'll just reconnect.